and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about my March TBR. I almost said February because I can't believe we're already at March, but I'm glad because today the sun was actually shining and it's genuinely been months since we've had like a warm day in Scotland, like a warm sunny day, and I feel like my soul is healing and it's inspired me to think about all the books I want to read, and most of them are nice, comforting spring reads because that's the mood I'm in because it's so sunny. And I bet it's rainy tomorrow and I'll just want to read all of the dark books again. I have a few books I already know that I want to read, and then I'm going to let my TBR jar choose the rest because I'm the mix of a mood reader and a planned reader, but I also just like a surprise as well. So a TBR jar is quite useful in that case. So I think I'm going to pull 3 out of this. First to the books I definitely want to get to. The first one is my current read, and that is The Rose Bargain. This is a YA romantasy book. It's set in a world where England is run by a fae queen, and it's kind of like Bridgerton meets The Selection, where these girls are going to be competing for the hand of the prince. So the main character is one of those girls, but the prince's brother actually wants to overthrow like the whole system, and he teams up with the main character to do this by telling her exactly how to act so that she is the one that his brother chooses, so they can kind of take down the system from the inside. And that just sounds so interesting. The book just gives off very spring vibes, so that is why I want to read it, and also because I've already started it and I'm only a chapter in, but it seems fun so far. I also really want to read Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan, and this is the same author as Daughter of the Moon Goddess, which I really loved. And this is a standalone, which is good because I feel like there's so many series coming out these days and it's hard to keep up with them all. But I love a good standalone, so I'm glad that this is one. This is an adult high fantasy, and it follows a main character who recently has ascended to the throne, and people of this world are kind of obligated to the immortals and the gods, and the main character wants to free her people basically from the immortals. So to do that, she has to form an alliance with the god of war. There's also romance as well, so I'm really looking forward to this one. And also, this is the stunning Waterstones edition. It's so pretty and it matches my copy of Daughter of the Moon Goddess so well, and it's just so pretty, and the flowers are reminding me of spring, so that's also why I chose it. I also finally picked up Funny Story by Emily Henry. This came out like over a year ago, I think, but it's finally out in paperback, and I don't like getting romance books in hardback. It's just something so wrong about that for some reason. I know this follows two main characters who recently have been victims of a breakup where both of their partners end up getting together. So I think they try and get their exes back by fake dating, but obviously, you know, where fake dating ends up in rom-coms. I'm just really excited about this. I'm kind of mixed on Emily Henry's books. There's only one that I actually really loved, and it's the one that everyone doesn't like, and it was The People We Meet on Vacation, or You and Me on Vacation. It has two different names. But that was my favourite, and it's everyone's least favourite, and it's the only one I gave 5 stars. But we'll see how I feel about this one. The next book is Where the Dark Stands Still, and I actually soft DNF'd this about a year ago, but it wasn't because it was bad, it's just I wasn't like into it at the time, and I knew I just needed to put it aside to enjoy it more when I was ready. And this is a YA fantasy book, and it's based off Polish folklore, and it's set in a world where magic is like forbidden or frowned upon, and the main character does have magical abilities, but she kind of keeps it hidden from everyone because she doesn't want to be judged or persecuted. So one day she goes to the forest to kind of find a solution, and she comes across this demon guard of the woods, and he basically offers her a wish if she serves him at his manor for a year. I didn't get very far into it. It was like 70 pages the first time I read it, but I did like what I read. I just wasn't in the mood for it at the time. But this also feels like a winter into spring kind of read, and I've heard good reviews as well, so I should like this. I'm also considering picking up The Teller of Small Fortunes, and this is an adult cozy fantasy, and it follows the main character who is a fortune teller, but she only focuses on like really small things, not big prophecies or anything like that. She just wants to live a quiet life, but I know something ends up happening, I don't know what, and she gets involved with all these different people from different walks of life, and they kind of form a found family and go on a quest together. That is all I know, but the reviews have been good, and yet again, feels like a nice light spring read. I'm kind of in the mood for cozy fantasy right now. Normally I'm not a big cozy fantasy reader, but I just read the Emily Wilde trilogy and absolutely loved that, so maybe it's more of a spring thing for me than it is like a winter autumnal thing, so maybe that's all I needed to enjoy a cozy fantasy. Now I'm going to choose 3 books from my TBR jar. It's another rom-com. I don't know how well you could see that because my writing is really bad, but it's Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. So I love Ali Hazelwood. I'm not a big rom-com fan, but Ali Hazelwood has written some of my most favourite rom-coms, specifically The Love Hypothesis and Love Theoretically. Those are my 2 favourites. But I've heard mixed things about this book. It's, I think, one of her lowest rated books, and I'm just not sure how I'm going to feel about it from the things that I've heard. But you know what? I'll give it a go. I'm already reading another rom com this month, so it feels fitting with the rest of the TBR. Back to the jar. This is really hard to do with one hand. Oh, I've literally already read that book. It's A Language of Dragons. I've already read it and I didn't like it. Oh, that one's very fitting. It's Tales of the Celestial Kingdom by Su Lin Tan. So this is actually a short story collection that was based off the Daughter of the Moon Goddess duology, and I've had it for ages, like over a year, and I still haven't got to it. And because I'm reading Immortal this month, this also really fits the TBR. So this was another good pick. Okay, into the final one. Oh. It's The Courting of Bristol Keats. This also really feels like it would fit spring and March really well, but it's such a chunky book and I've not heard good reviews either, and now I'm like not wanting to read it. This is an adult romantasy book or romantic fantasy book. I know it follows the main character who thinks her parents have died, but then she finds out that her dad might be alive and kidnapped. So she travels to the Fae realm and makes a deal with a Fae prince to try and get her dad back. That's all I know. But it's just such a chunky book, and that synopsis just does not fit like a 600-page book in my mind. And I've not heard the best reviews, so I'm really nervous, but I have to read it. I was going to read it anyway at some point, so this is a good excuse to get me to read it, you know? And also, yeah, again, it just really fits the spring vibes, so I should be thankful. But yeah, that is my ambitious March TBR because I only read 7 books in February, and that was me pushing it quite a bit. Like, I'm actually surprised I got all 7 done. So I don't know how many books I just counted there. It was actually only 8, I just counted, and that's not too bad, but there are some chunky books in there. And yeah, I mean, February was only 28 days and March was 31, so I do have a good chance of getting all 8 of these books done. Hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you're reading in March, and I'll see you all in the next one.